Hi, my name is James, and I'm a grateful recovering addict and alcoholic. This is my live stream every night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Subscribe and share with a friend or a loved one, and think about joining for the cause. We're going to talk about something I learned today. It's humble when you learn something that you've been believing in, doing with your life, and insisting upon out of sheer will your entire life, and you find out that, there's a better way, and you've been being taught it by your peers or maybe a certain program for many years now. I tend to preach the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I get excited about it. It's in my experience, it's one of the most beautiful and powerful communities, events that's happened in my life. More and more is being revealed. But today I got into some Facebook fussing with, it was I'll tell you this story as you guys pour in. The topic of this stream, unless one of you has a itch to scratch or a burning desire, something that's bothering you, I'd like to talk about how my will still continues to assert itself. I continue to try to assert my will, almost unbeknownst to me, even though I've learned that my will has gotten me jails, institutions, and death. What up, Gail? Hi. How are you now? Miss Hashtag Holly Ford is here. Let the stream begin. Hey, Holly. I want to talk about how I've been preaching Alcoholics Anonymous, and it is advised in the program, in the traditions, that the program is one of attraction and not of promotion, and it has been that way for nearly a century. I have talked my way through this and justified it and found people that agree with my point of view in AA, because opinions do vary. Mary Beth Martin, good evening, everyone. It is M. Beast from Georgia. First time chatting. Hey, Mary Beth, welcome. If there's anything you'd like to talk about, feel free to type in at any moment in the chat box. This is essentially a podcast where you are my guests, and I am your gracious host. John Venturini, hello. Are you Mrs. Beast, Mary Beth Martin? Hey, I live near Georgia. But when one discovers, and this is addressed in the literature of Alcoholics Anonymous, when we discover the solution of the program, we want to shout it from the mountaintops. We want to share it with all who need it, whether they're asking for it or not. Bill W., the founder of AA, used to, at very first, before he got, learned, he was trying out new things, and he would go into bars and talk to alcoholics that didn't necessarily even ask for the message. And then was born one of the traditions. The only requirement for AA is a desire to stop drinking. Not my desire to tell you how to get sober. Not me promoting AA like Bill found out it didn't work by going into bars and preaching the word of Alcoholics Anonymous. Not me getting on the channel and promoting AA and saying it's the only thing that works. There is only one thing that I know, and that's AA has worked for me. And it is suggested and encouraged to carry the message of my own recovery, but to venture into other affairs, as in this doesn't work, that doesn't work, AA works. I may think that, but I used to think drinking to blackout drunk and stealing whippets from the grocery store was a good idea. And that's just one example of my bright ideas. JV's legs are working, everybody. Almost spin class ready. So, I'll tell you a short story. I've been arguing on Facebook fussing. I think I told you guys this. It's sickening to me. It's a disgusting feeling of, why am I doing this? This is my ego doing the typing. I'm either bored or procrastinating, and I'm going through Facebook and I'm finding views and beliefs that contradict mine, and I'm basically just giving it all I got to disprove this person, tell them they're wrong. And it's really, shameful, and it's really disgusting, and I haven't felt good about it. I got rid of Instagram for that reason. And Facebook I keep around because of Facebook Marketplace. But today, a certain post was about an app that gets you sober. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. You might have your feed suggesting a lot of different sober methods, sober quotes. Well, long story short, this guy started talking and he said, these 3 methods fail to get you sober. Number 1, AA. And immediately I was in the comment section because I'm about to tear this dude a new opinion hole. And he, that was just a recording of him trying to sell his app. His app apparently would get you sober. And I know it's BS. I get into the comment section and there is surprisingly a lot of humble, some defending AA, others, and I didn't notice this until I had this revelation, or until I was taught this by the universe, or granted this knowledge, but they were only saying their experience. AA saved my life, and I've been sober and attending meetings for 5 years, period. So, to my gathering right now, I gather that that is acceptable to the institute, to the community of AA. In the principles, it states, we are a program of attraction, not promotion. I can say that I've been to a meeting, but I can't say that you've been to a meeting. We must always maintain anonymity on the level of press, radio, and films. I used to say the very simple thing, well, they didn't say anything about YouTube because this, that, and the other thing. This is why I can do it, because I think I'm special. But the fact is, I've been wrestling with that tradition for the entire time I've been talking about recovery on YouTube. It is my belief that AA is the way. Obviously, I believe that since I was 18 years old. I'm 43 now. I've been attending AA one way or another for almost 3 decades. And knowing what I know now and seeing myself go through denouncing the program and talking myself out of it and not paying attention to the things that were inconvenient to me about it, and realizing that I am the problem. Alcohol is a solution, was a symptom and a proposed solution. That was my bright idea. The ideas of Alcoholics Anonymous have worked for me. This will be the message going forward. All that I will discipline myself to talk about. Number one, I believe in AA. It's God and AA are a couple of my higher powers. When it comes to alcoholism, I consult AA. So why would I only still, after all these years, because when I first came into the rooms of AA, I took what was convenient for me, going to meetings, working the steps that were convenient for me, not purposely ignoring the suggestions that I didn't like, but they just didn't hit home until I was desperate enough here about 7 months ago. And 7 months ago is when I accepted that my ideas about God are nothing compared to the knowledge that I don't know. All the things I don't know far outweigh the small percentage of the things I do know in this universe. Who am I to say there is no God? That's when I did the third step, and I was able to do the 11th step of God, and that was my puzzle piece that I was missing. Since then, I've been happy, joyous, and free. I am progressing at an exponential rate in life. Relaxed, depression-free, anxiety-free. Not all the time. I'm still practicing, handing my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand it. I'm still practicing living life on life's terms. It takes practice. It's not a switch. You can't just turn on a new behavior and a new way of life. You have to practice eliminating your character defects and accentuating your higher qualities. So, yeah. But after all those years of doing that and finding out that that was not good for me, and I should have just... If I had a time machine, I would go back to when I was 18 years old, and I would tell my 18-year-old self, listen to every single word of Alcoholics Anonymous and practice it. Ignore what you think is a better idea. Ignore what you think most of the time, period. Tom Sock, how are you now? That's what I would tell my 18-year-old self. And then I would say, including the principles and the traditions, especially the principles, but including the traditions. Now, traditions, not many alcoholics in the rooms like the traditions. They're old-timey. They're for the betterment of the group, not for the individual. And as we know now, the alcoholic is very self-centered. But the betterment of the group has to come paramount because the individual depends on the group. So without the traditions, the group wouldn't have survived. So the 11th tradition is one that this channel conflicts with. Me posting Anthony Hopkins' video 5 years ago of his speaker tape is contradictory to the traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I haven't gone and run and take that down yet. All in God's time, but today I learned that the program of Alcoholics Anonymous doesn't need little old me to defend it. It doesn't want me to defend it. The principles suggest that not an individual alcoholic represents AA, especially in TV, press, radio, films, and we'll just add YouTube. There's a bunch of different reasons for that. Now, my little old opinion said, well, there's a ton of videos about bashing AA, and there's a ton of lies, and there's a ton of injustice out there. And that's not helping anyone. But this is saying that I just came up with something that they haven't came up with in 89 years. So how is that? How is that logical? It's ridiculous. To say after 89 years, I get sober for, well, at the time I made the channel about alcoholism, it was about 3 years. And now I know more than AA. That's ridiculous. It really is when you look at it. Sure, I have good ideas, but to be honest, any literature and the 12 steps and just everything that they wrote back in the 30s has lasted for that long without being changed. I mean, for you Bible believers out there, for you Bible readers out there, I envy you, but you believe the same thing. It was divinely written. I believe, now to my understanding, I'm not going to try to pretend to describe how or by whom or what or whatever. That's right, Mary Beth, kind of like the Bible. And Bible believers, believe that it was divinely written. I believe that in the 30s, this set of steps and what's in the book is so correct as a solution and a description of the alcoholic. It addresses everything that it addresses every one of my problems. And it hasn't changed in 89 years when a lot of has. There's been alcoholics that come around like me that in the past 9 decades that say, why don't we do this? This is a better idea. I got an idea, let's do this. But they've preserved the principles for the preservation of the program to protect against alcoholics like me, which we're very opinionated. I don't know if you ever noticed this about yourself. If you are an alcoholic, your opinions have very high opinions of yourself. It could be said that of themselves. It could be said that is the problem. We elevate our opinions to the point of like God. Therefore, we are our highest power. And I get drunk. We stay sober. What's up, Alex Patience? Good to see you. How are you doing today? Mary Beth Martin, a newcomer on the scene. Welcome. My opinions have high opinions of themselves. Which is, it could be said by, it could be said that is the problem. My opinions, they're not as powerful as I think they are. They're not even half as true as I think they are half of the time. And when they turn out to be, when reality turns out differently than my opinion, I go crazy. I can't handle it. I drink. I self-medicate. When my way is not getting done, my will is not being done, I used to self-medicate, which is one of the reasons why the solution suggests handing your will over to a power greater than yourself. To me, that is the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and now a God of my understanding. I have no idea. It's a leap of faith. It's a leap of faith. But the key, which I'm finding out more and more, is that it's not me that I'm putting my faith into. It's not my ideas, my will, my opinions, my arguments, or my decisions that I'm putting my faith into. I used to worship me, my will. And it's hard to have this paradigm shift in this kind of world, because if you guys probably remember being told things like, if you put your mind to something, If you put your mind to it, you can do anything you put your mind to. And that's just not true, especially when you have an alcoholic mind. Yeah, I put my mind to getting drunk. I put my mind to lying, cheating, and stealing to feel more comfortable about life not acting right in relation to my will. What I want to be done, when really I don't know what I want. I don't know what I need. I heard someone in a meeting today said, only God knows what I need. You know what I mean? Then we go on to tell other people what they need and what they want, which is what I have slipped up and have been doing occasionally to others that need a way to get sober. Like you, Noah, I've straight up told you to get your ass to AA. I mean, opinions vary on carrying the message, and some will say the alcoholic needs discipline. The alcoholic needs direction. There are many falsehoods to that. It assumes that we were working from a mind that is well functioning, not under the duress of depression, anxiety, under the chemical duress of addiction or the disease of alcoholism or addiction. Correct. And even non-alcoholics, non-addicts, there's a plethora, there is a gauntlet, there is a spectrum of mental disorders that just aren't as powerful as giving your will and your life over to the care of reality, of God's will, of a power greater than yourself. Thank God I recognize the program as a power greater than I. It was very simple to me. Millions of alcoholics have gotten and stayed sober and become happy, joyous, and free by direction from the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I said I can't do it. They seem to have done it, so I'm going to start listening to them. Unfortunately, part of the disease is I would say, asleep, which is probably why they call it a spiritual awakening when you finally get the promises of the 12 steps, is that I feel like I've been asleep my entire life. Because I don't wake up and say, I'm going to do what's good for me. I'm going to think about myself all day. I'm going to just try, assert my will, my mind, my focus, and just, I'm going to get it done. Me. I don't say that, I just do it. That's the way I wake up. It's automatic. I have to be taught a way to practice. That's where Alcoholics Anonymous has come in for me. The day before today, you did a full pint, Weather God says. I'm sorry to hear that, Noah. So, the old me, which was it would have been as soon as this morning, as recent as this morning and yesterday and this past week, would have said, go to AA, Noah. But that's not up to me. I barely know what I need or want for myself. I definitely don't know what Noah needs or wants. So I am going to, at the advice of my higher power, stick to what has worked for me, my experience. This has been salt and peppered into my recent messages, and finally I woke today. Okay, so I'll tell you my story about Facebook. Real quick, and then I'll read some of your comments. Facebook, there's an app, says AA doesn't work, my app does. The comments are littered with all kinds of stuff, calling him a liar, which he, in my opinion, he is. demeaning the program of Alcoholics Anonymous just to sell your app. So I was tearing people up left and right, especially him. And then a comment came along that was, this guy said, AA, the recovery rates of AA were a lot higher before court mandated, people were mandated to attend. So he basically said recovery rates in AA were a lot higher before judges started ordering people into AA. I took it as an anti-AA guy bashing the recovery rates of AA, which a lot of times they will do. And I have my own little argument for that too. And it makes a lot of sense, and it's very articulate. And I just want to tell you so bad. But that comes from the same mind that used to get drunk and try to swim across dangerous amounts of water while he was drunk. I can't trust my mind. What I can trust is powers greater than myself. And what they say is, you don't need to promote AA. We don't need to promote AA. We don't need to defend AA. I thought little old me was going to defend AA. Well, it doesn't need defense. It saved me. It's a power greater than myself. It saved me. I'm 43 years old. It's 89 years old. And it saved me. And I'm thinking I'm going to save it. That's the insidious insanity of not just the alcoholic, I would venture a guess, but of people in general, is we think our opinions and our arguments will, change the world. Hey, it's good to have dreams. But at the direction of my higher power, I am no longer going to defend or promote the program. I will, however, at the direction of my higher power, the program of AA and God, share my experience, which a lot of times I've done. And I've gone back and forth. Sometimes I'll take my will back and I'll be like, I'm going to tell these people to go to AA. I'm sick of it. I know what's good for them. They don't. You know what I mean? And that's just wrong. It's not just morally wrong, it's false. I may think I know that AA is the only way because it was for me. And I hear many people say, but I think I know a lot of things. And so do you. And so does everybody. And when we feel special, when we feel unique, that takes us, if not eventually, if not immediately, to a drink. The end result of the alcoholic's self-will, the end result of the alcoholic's willpower is drunk. I have found this through my immense experience. Well, that sounds conceited. It's basically my immense experience of failing to propel myself into success by self-will. Time and time again, over the past couple of decades, I have what's been called a very strong power of will. I have a strong willpower. I no longer take that as a compliment. To me, that is, well, it's shameful that I didn't realize that that was the problem. My willpower. All our lives we're taught that willpower is a good thing. And it takes an awakening because I was kind of asleep. What would you call a person who walks 5 miles to a local store just for a bottle of booze? Alcoholic or non-alcoholic? An alcoholic. A panic attack, John says, can happen to anyone. Someone I thought was bulletproof and strong had one in front of me, and what I did was made they were in a better place. There, Jack Nicholson just said it. If you came to me and said, I'm doing it my way, I'm not going to use AA, I probably wouldn't support that. But I don't necessarily matter. My view is a limited view only from my eyes, my shoes, my brain, my experience. It is virtually, if not literally, impossible for me to know what's good for you. Objectively, I can have opinions, but I'm finding more and more that even my own opinions, I'm finding more and more that my opinions have been the problem. Noah says, why the hell do I say I'm not an alcoholic when I do the things that are not normal at all? You say you're not an alcoholic, Noah? Well, you just said you know you are, so you know you are. What I did, well, I didn't have that dilemma. I was pretty sure I was an alcoholic at 18. But something changes. I've heard a lot of alcoholics in the rooms say this. Something changes when we say, hello, my name is James, I'm an alcoholic. Hello, my name is your name here, and I'm an alcoholic. That's why for 89 years, that's been the way you introduce yourself, because we will forget. It is based on what we have experienced and what we know, John says. The only certification I can talk to is a certified wellness coach from NASM. Outside of that, it has been based on this journey. Have you ever talked to a social worker or somebody who's really good with people? They do a lot more listening than they do talking. And I've noticed that psychologists, they don't tell you how to get well. They kind of just guide you as you figure it out for yourself. And well, the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is very much the same to that. Noah says, I know I am, but my delusional self says I'm not. And whenever my delusional self says I'm not, my real self says I'm an alcoholic. Right. The way I talk about this kind of thing is my addiction will try to convince me that I'm not. My addiction will try to keep me out of the rooms of AA. My addiction will judge others and see the differences, not the similarities. My higher power, one that is literal, Alcoholics Anonymous, says recognize the similarities, not the differences. When you go to a meeting, it suggests, James, when you go to a meeting, recognize the similarities, not the differences. Because your addiction will pick everyone apart, which is why almost tons of the majority of alcoholics, when they're talking, says, I didn't like the rooms when I first came in. I didn't like you people. I didn't like the God message. I didn't like the steps. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. And these are people that have been in the rooms for 20 years. People that have had a spiritual awakening as a result of the 12 steps. They said when they first came in, they were about to run out, and they have. We have run out of. I've run out. I've left a meeting, went to the liquor store. My false statement of mine loves to say I'm delusional and that I don't have an issue. Yeah, here's a quote from AA. Alcoholism is the only disease that will lie to you and tell you that you don't have a disease. So you're definitely not alone on that one. MF Boat in the building. Taking care of animals is the greatest replacement for alcohol. In my experience, Alcoholics Anonymous is the greatest replacement for alcohol. Without Alcoholics Anonymous, I can't take care of myself, let alone animals. I did a stream on my dogs during the 6 months I was relapsing. You know, they were miserable, depressed, not walking, eating only the worst of food. You know, not necessarily. I tried, but I was powerless over alcohol. So, in my experience, the replacement for alcohol is AA. Alcohol is our greatest idea of a solution for how we feel. Alcohol is not the problem. It is a symptom of our problems. And it is our greatest solution. It is our bright idea of a solution for how we feel. The problem is how we feel. Alcohol, it was just on the shelf. It wasn't causing any trouble. You were added to that equation. I was added to that equation, and all of a sudden there's trouble. I picked the alcohol from the shelf, I downed it, and I started trouble. Noah says, that's a crazy statement from AA because with opioids, even just a little, I know I have an issue. With a lot of alcohol, I seem to not notice it. To not notice what? To not notice what, Noah? The addiction. Well, alcoholism has a way of lying to us in our own voice. You walk if you're walking to the liquor store, after all these consequences and all these problems, if you're still drinking, you are an alcoholic, in my opinion. I'm not calling you an alcoholic, Noah. I'm saying theoretically, when a person ignores the consequences that have superseded the benefits of drinking, that means it's no longer fixing your problems, it is causing them. The drinking is no longer fixing the way you feel, it is making it worse. When the consequences outweigh the benefits, that is a Merriam-Webster's definition of addiction. When the consequences are ignored because of the obsession to drink. So you say you can barely notice it with alcohol. Your alcoholism doesn't let you notice it. Have you ever noticed, any of you experienced recovering alcoholics on the stream? I have noticed that there's people that tell me The problems were obvious. Alcoholics Anonymous and my sponsor and my peers in AA told me, that's a problem. You might not want to do that. And I insisted on doing it myself because I was blind to it. So objectively, those who are not the alcoholic see it because, in my opinion, the addiction will blind us at every turn. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. It will con us, baffle us, and overpower us. Today, intaked in a polite manner and have a sponsor. Good for you, MF Boat. The sponsor for me is because I'm sick. My ideas rule, and they're causing me nothing but problems. I now take my sponsor's suggestions. He or she has had a spiritual awakening as a result of the 12 steps and has a sane mind. And he will tell me he's not always that way. He has to practice the principles. But in my objective view, this was a person that is very good example of sobriety. I want what he has, so I will do what he does. If I want to keep what I have, which was misery, I will continue to do what I do. No matter how good it sounds at the moment, it will get me the same results. The insanity is I will keep doing the same thing, my bright ideas, and expect different results. The only time I started getting different results was when I accepted the ideas of powers greater than myself. Noah says, what's incredible is that I haven't had an opioid since the day I started watching your lives, May 26th. It's very incredible. You could say it's God doing for you what you couldn't do for yourself. Hold on, my dog is growling at the window. Jiminy Christmas. When we turn our will and our life over to the care of God, and sometimes we begin to do it without even knowing it, God begins to do for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. Don't flinch. My suggestion is don't flinch. Being a former agnostic, I suggest you don't flinch and shut down and stop listening when I say the word God. God means whatever you perceive it to mean as a power greater than yourself. My God doesn't even have a descriptible description. If the police wanted to know a description of the God of my understanding, I'd be like, I don't know. What's incredible? Okay, Michael, hold on now. Okay. What are we holding on for? So, when I told my sponsor, when I was desperate enough to be honest, open, and willing to find a God of my understanding after being agnostic my entire life, I said, I need God. The third step, the 11th step, it's all about God. A lot of the program is about a God. I need to believe in God. And he asked me those 3 questions. Some of you may have heard this story. One of the questions was, how do you see a God? What do you see God? What do you see God as? What's your image? What's your best conception of God? Me, personally. And I told him my own special version of God and all that. And he said, good. Stick with that. He said, let me ask you this. Have you prayed for the willingness to believe in God? And I said, no, I haven't. He said, why don't you give that a try? I was willing to do that. And then he asked me, do you think that you're God? And I said, no. Which is strange now that I think about it, because my whole life I have been taking my opinions as the highest. I have been thinking that my thinking rules. My will be done. Willpower. If I just apply enough of it, I will get what I want. Sometimes I did, but it was stressful, exhausting, and to keep it and hold on to it, I still had to exert will each and every minute of it every day. When I let go of that and turned it over to this invisible, barely imaginable, comprehensible God of my misunderstanding, that went away. My white knuckles went away. My nerves, my depression, that all went away. I am not in charge. I am not running this show called Life on Earth. I'm not directing it. If it doesn't turn out how I want to be, that's perfectly okay. It's not just okay. It is the only way. Willingness. HOW, how to recover. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Honestly, I had said, my way's not working. It's been 43 years and I've just caused trouble. Honestly, my way's not working. I was open. I was desperate enough to be open-minded enough to search for a God of my understanding. And I had to open it real wide because our childhoods mess us up. They tell us Santa Claus is real. It's not. They tell us that preacher knows what he's talking about. He's in jail for rape. So our childhood and the world around us is constantly, it's like a battle for our faith. So I had to really be open-minded to my God doesn't rape children. My God doesn't, withhold gifts and coming down to your chimney because you've been naughty. My God doesn't care. I have my own understanding. I was going to say my God doesn't care about whether or not I go to church in a suit or butt-ass naked, but that was one of my own ideas, and that doesn't really work. Because I now know that I am responsible for love and tolerance and kindness as well. And it wouldn't be too kind to freak all those people out showing up butt naked to church. Also cursing. I used to say my God doesn't care if I curse, God damn it. Sure, he doesn't care. What he does care about is the way I affect other people. No, I'm not going to church, bro. Yeah, well, I go to AA like it's religion. AA is my religion. By Merriam-Webster's definition, I practice a religion. I religiously do a ritualistic practice of a higher version of my will or my self. I practice recognizing that there are powers more important than myself. That's spirituality. I've had a spiritual awakening and I practice it. My church is the rooms of AA, which ironically enough are usually in churches. Cynicism is just a bunch of opinions. And you wouldn't believe, after waking up, which I call it for myself, I feel like I've been unconscious, not paying attention, and now I'm awake. You wouldn't believe how ridiculous my old ideas seem. If you think other people's ideas seem ridiculous, take a look at your own and realize that you don't know much about what you're talking about. Which was the case today in that Facebook comment feed. I told this guy, and articulately I made this point about recovery rates and how most recovering alcoholics are in the rooms of AA, which may be true. He proceeded to comment, call your sponsor, he'll tell you you're a jackass, which was probably true. I went to a meeting today and heard this phrase right after this. And this is how it kind of works in life, in my experience. Things just come together in a supernatural way. In this meeting, this quote I just learned, and I wrote it down. If you meet 3 jackasses before lunch, you may be the jackass. And that's what happened to me today. I'm tearing all these people up on Facebook about AA this and AA that. I think I know. Well, this one guy, turns out he wasn't anti-AA, he was a member. He said, call your sponsor, he'll probably call you a jackass. Also, have you ever heard of the 11th tradition? Where you don't need to defend AA. AA is a power not only twice my age, but also one that has saved me, literally saved my life multiple times. And this time has saved my spirit. Which is just, I don't even know how to even wrap my head around it. But I'm sitting here defending this. I'm defending, that's like if if a firefighter is pulling you out of the building and he's got all the right gear on and stuff, all the thermo gear and all the water and all the training to fight fires. That's like if he was carrying you out, you insist on getting on your feet and carrying him through the flames. And say, damn these flames, don't touch my firefighter. Well, he's the one wearing all the gear. He's the one with all the training. He is literally called a firefighter. And your punk ass was choking to death. You're covered in soot. Your pants are missing. You're barely standing. And you think you have to defend this firefighter against the fire. That's basically, a pretty good analogy for me thinking I have to defend AA. AA has a set of traditions in place that has kept them serving alcoholics for 89 years. And here, I'm going to come along with my little short term of sobriety and be like, here's how we're going to do it from now on. And I'm not the first. Probably every single alcoholic in the history of alcoholics in AA have had brilliant ideas, and their will takes back, and they start arguing with the power that's saving them. Well, I may think that I have some pretty logical arguments against these AA bashers out there. But I've thought a lot of things that turned out to be ridiculous. You know what I mean? And it happened today. I was telling him my greatest argument and this, that, and the other thing. And with 3 statements, one was a picture of the 11th tradition. I had to make amends to him. I deleted my comments, all the comments to all the rest of the AA bashers. And I said, thanks. Thanks, man. I needed that. I needed to be put in my place. We all do sometimes. And all of a sudden we weren't arguing. He said I could have been kinder. I apologize. All of a sudden, there's love in the room. Honesty helps with literally everything. It's the first principle of the 12 principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. And honestly, I don't know enough to have as many opinions as I do. If you really get honest, if I really get honest with myself, my arguments consist of probably 50% assumptions about what I assume to be the truth. And, you know, the other 50% is probably my ego wanting to be right. You know, just to be simple, but there's a lot of slivers of the pie in there. Yeah, it is powerful, learning and growing. I was happy about today. I thanked the guy. Thank you. I needed that. You know? Who am I? That was the turning point in my life when I asked myself, who am I to say there is no God? I mean, for real. What do I know about the unknowable? Nothing. It's unknowable. That's to say I have the capacity to know it all. To me to even venture into having an opinion about God and things about the universe, and that's like saying I do have the capacity to know it all. False. There are things we won't ever know. There are things we don't know. You know what I mean? So, I will stop preaching about Noah, get your ass to AA. My sponsor told me you do have to have a God of your understanding. AA people, and he said me, referring to himself, will let you down. People will let you down. I will let you down, maybe someday. You know, he said he had the potential as a human being to let you down. People will let you down. The group of AA will let you down. Because it's personalities. The principles of AA won't. The spiritual principles and the God of your understanding will not let you down. So put your faith in that. That was the third step. He said, all right, it doesn't have to be perfect right now. We'll move on to step 4. And that was 7 months ago. The 30th of June was 7 months. I haven't had an inkling of a thought of drinking. And some people may not believe that. And it's up to you whether you do or not. But I will tell you with 100% confidence that I have not even been close. I have not had a thought of drinking in 7 months. And if I wasn't drinking, I was obsessed and thinking about drinking. That was me as an alcoholic. I'm concentrating on the principles, on living a happy, joyous, and free and spiritually right life. I want to be a good person. I no longer care about money. It promised me in AA. One of the promises is your fear of people and economic insecurity will leave you. I was like, yeah, right. My cynicism, my bright ideas, my arguments said, yeah, right. I believe a lot of things you guys are telling me, but fear of economic insecurity, it won't leave me. I recently got a job. I thought when I got the job, it was $13 an hour. I just did the right thing and got a part-time job because this is God's will. My arguments were like, we don't have to work. You know what I'm saying? You know, I got bright ideas about how I'm not going to work. Well, power is greater than me. Sane people, older people, wiser people than myself said, you know, get a part-time job. You got to get out of the house. You have to feel a purpose. Well, anyway, I got the job for $13 an hour because I didn't care about financial insecurity. And I got it for a job that I didn't even want to do, which was hang out at this pool all day or walk around the neighborhood or something in the hot sun. Turns out, I now have a job at the zoo, and my first paycheck, it wasn't $13 an hour. It was $16 an hour. So by doing the next right thing, ignoring what I want and doing the next right thing, turns out to get me what I want and definitely what I need. And I'm on my way to pursue a career as a peer support specialist, which helps other addicts in recovery. Also not a very excellent paying job. This world wants me to think that money is the ticket. With money, I used to say this exact sentence. Tell me that money can't buy happiness, and give me $5 million, and I'll have a smile on your face by the end of the day. Yeah, sure, that sounds true. Because because I'm lying to myself, and I'm lying to you too when I say that. Michael says, I want to move far away from every single person I know and never talk to them or see them again. What do you know about what you want or need? Where are you now? It's because of what you thought you've wanted on every decision of your life up until this moment. And where are you now? Let go of what you want. Let go of what you think you want. Let go of your ideas, your opinions, and your best ideas. And give it to God. Do the next right thing. Do you think the next right thing is moving away from every single person you know and never talking or seeing them again? And if you say yes, it's probably you lying to yourself. You think you're special, Michael. We will think we're special until we're at the gates of insanity or death. Then we will be special. We will be dead. In my experience, this is what I believe. And here's another thing. Michael, I wouldn't be surprised if those same people you're talking about turn out to save your life someday and turn out to be valued. But I don't know what I'm talking about. You won't even tell us who those people are and what you did or what they did and what you experienced or what they do to you. And you don't have to. But my point is, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what's good for you. That could be the best thing that's ever happened to you, moving away. In my case, I have learned without a doubt that what I thought I wanted my entire life at every turn wasn't the next right thing. It wasn't what was good for me. And it wasn't what I needed. And most of the time it got me what I didn't want. MF Boat, I have a 1-year chip. The promises are powerful. I love the promises of AA. Hey Siri, bring up the promises of AA. Hey Siri, what are the promises of AA? It says in plain language, if you go to AA and don't drink, you will be happy. But that's not the promises. Hey seriously. Hey seriously. Hey Siri, what are the 12... Hey Siri, what are the 9th step promises? If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. In my experience, true. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. True. We We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. True. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. True. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. True. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. True. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. True. It's not saying true. I'm saying this has happened to me. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. True. Every single one of those came true. And I'm talking about the ones I didn't believe in. My fear of people, my fear of economic insecurity, gone. It still materializes here and there, but it takes practice of the principles to manifest the promises. It says, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. My family thought it would be a good idea to manipulate my entire life. The whole damn thing was a setup. And now that I know they think it's going to be okay, but it's not. Over my dead body, it won't be. I wish you the best too, Michael. I will tell you that I thought I knew what was going on in my life a bunch of times, and that just wasn't the case. So in a nutshell, it's not up to me to tell you how to get sober unless you come to me and ask me, James, I am honest, open, and willing. I want what you have. Tell me how you got it. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm telling you how I got it. I'm telling you the facts about my journey, my experience. And I have tried, but will diligently refrain from telling you how to do it. My objective kind of always has been to just be on the screen through my journey of recovery, because I have faith that it will be visibly obvious that whatever I'm doing works, and that you may be inspired to try it a different way other than your own. I realize today, when you believe in something, it doesn't necessarily make it true. You don't necessarily know something you believe. And that's good. That's for good things and bad things. I don't know about God and how it works, but I believe that it will. And that's faith. That's a leap of faith. For bad things, it means also, I believe, there's been times in my life where I believed I'm hopeless. I'm never going to make it. But I obviously didn't know it. But, Michael, I hope you find the help you need. Help comes from you seeking it, not from me trying to shove it down your throat. Into your mind, into your heart. Help comes when you are honest, open, and willing to receive it. Honest about the fact that your ideas aren't working. Open to the ideas of the solution. And willing to take those steps. Help comes when we take it. Like a lot of people describe the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and the program as work. I feel like it's a gift, and the only work I had to do was unwrapping it and accepting it. I've thrown it on the ground before and kicked it and turned the other way, walked away from it. It's been handed to me and handed to me and handed to me very simply, and I have rejected it. And it's not because I'm stupid. It may be because I'm stubborn, but even being stubborn isn't necessarily our fault. It would be my fault to ignore what I now know to be a fact. Through immense experience, the things that I talk about my own personal recovery, I know them to be a fact. Not God, that's a belief. Fact. My ideas get me drunk. And the program of AA teaches me to live sober. Boat says, my sobriety is my birthday gift to myself. I did it 2 years ago. It was super easy. Good for you. There's a lot of I's in myself. And there's 2 my's and myself in there and an I. I tend to view myself trying to help myself as fighting a fire with fire. Or gasoline. MF Boat. Well, how are you doing it? How do you do it? If it works for you, how do you do it? I've tried getting sober on my birthday too. New Year's, birthday, Valentine's Day, New Year's. And when did you first meet me, Mike Tucker? Well, guess what? When you first met me 5 years ago, I was regularly attending Alcoholics Anonymous, humbly. I read the big book, MF Boat says. Attend meetings, don't yell at family members. Well, that's a bonus. Not yelling at family members. The book, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, through my immense experience, it is a fact that the big book is the solution. People in the meetings it is said that is not the solution. It is just part of the program. It is part of the solution. The solution lies in the 12 steps, in the big book. To just go to meetings, and I'm on a different tangent here. I'm happy to hear that that's your modality for sobriety. And yes, there is a decision that we ourselves can be proud of making when it comes to our sobriety, and that is surrender. It is to give up my will, to give up my ideas, to give up white knuckling it. Because I can stay sober for 8 years. I'm not necessarily sober, I'm dry. On my own willpower, I can, yeah, I'll do it. But you know what? I could also run a marathon. You know how exhausted, damn near dead I will be at the end of that marathon or even halfway through? I can also fight Mike Tyson. Doesn't mean I'll be successful. I could also, with my own willpower, hold an M80 in my hand until it explodes. I could will myself to do that, sure. I will then be missing a hand, but my willpower will have succeeded in holding the firecracker until it went off. If I follow the simple instructions on the box of fireworks that says, you know, don't hold the firework until it goes off, I will be successful. If I give my will over to the care of that instruction packet in the firecrackers and say, yeah, just another analogy I like to mess around with. Yeah, I have a lot of opinions. You know who else has opinions? 4-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? That's a very simple way of saying don't trust your opinions. And those 4-year-olds are very confident about their opinions. You know what I mean? Because they think they know something. Well, I had opinions at 20 that I now know were ridiculous. At 20, I can look at my 4-year-old opinions and be like, man, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? The boogeyman isn't hiding in my closet. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. At 43 now, I can look at my 20-year-old self and say, yeah, you had a lot of opinions. And for 23 years, they got you drunk. They got you in jail. You wound up alone. You know, would you rather be right, or would you rather be happy? That's the gist of it. Do you want your opinions to be right more than you want to be happy? It's like, yeah, you can be right all the time. You'll be alone. You can be right all the time, but you'll be miserable. MF Boat has seen a firework go off in someone's hand, I'm guessing. Just look at Jackass. You know, they willed their way into those stunts. They didn't always work out too well, did they? They successfully exerted their willpower. Their willpower was impressive. To be blindfolded in a bullpen with a bull until it throws you up into the air, damn near impales you. Their willpower got them there. Their willpower kept them there. Their willpower got a bullhorn up the ass. Our willpower can be impressive. Impressive doesn't always mean good. Atomic bombs are impressive. Tidal waves are impressive. Earthquakes are impressive. Great white shark swallowing a man whole is pretty impressive. It's not good. I did 4 years in AA, and then the back half of my 8 years was without AA. I thought it was a good idea to start smoking weed. I thought it was a good idea to work from home and go against reality, which is I have ADHD. I'm not a very good self-starter. I'm not a very good organizer. I'm not a very good organizer. Did I mention I'm not a good organizer? Those were my ideas. Reality is I have attention deficit disorder. It's a legitimate learning disability. There are some things I'm just not good at. There are some things I am. Reality about smoking weed. I have an obsessive compulsive disease called addiction. Even though I started out with, I'll just smoke for a movie, I'll just smoke at night. Very quickly, I was smoking when I woke up, all through the day, and until I went to sleep. That's reality. My opinion has nothing to do with it. That's called denial. When your opinion doesn't match reality, it's called denial. Accepting reality on reality's terms is called living in God's will. Trusting that it'll all work out. You're not in charge. You're barely even a player in this game of life. You're definitely not the referee. You're definitely not the owner of the team of human beings. You're just a player. And thank God, the relief that comes with realizing that you're not in charge, I am so glad I'm not. I realized today, I've always liked jobs where all I have to do is clock in and follow direction. Somebody tells me what to do. I have no problem with that. Unless, they're out of line. I thrived in the Navy and make a career out of it because I thought I had better ideas. All right, I'm getting hiccups. I will no longer assert my opinions and my own recovery on your recovery. I will continue to stick to demonstrating how I'm doing it with detail and perhaps instructions for those of you who want it. But it is wrong and incorrect for me to straight tell someone to go to AA. It is your right to find your own way to recovery, whether that's AA or not. So, I bid you a good night. I stream weekdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and now work Saturday and Sunday evenings, and I absolutely love it. I'm alone in a zoo for 7 hours, air conditioned with the occasional walk. And it wasn't my will that picked this job. It was following direction It was following God, good orderly direction. And I'll just add to that, M-Boat. You can't do it, and that's all right. But we can do it together. Until 9 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night. Check out that join button on my channel. It really helps me, and I'll do what I can to help you. Until then, keep it clean, keep it real, keep doing the damn thing, but only if it's in line with God's will. Peace.